Good morning, church. How y'all doing today? Good, good. Hey, y'all, I just wanted to get up here and introduce one of my friends. His name's Charlie Arnold. He's from the Southern Christian Children's Home, and he's been helping out me and Annie a lot with our whole adoption process, and he's really been a blessing. And so I wanted to bring him here and have them talk about what they have going on, what they're doing new. This is a ministry that the BB Church has supported in the past. We've continued to support them, but I just wanted them to come and give us an update and kind of let us know what they got going on. But most of all, hopefully try and encourage some people here to be able to step up and help them in where they really need help. But anyway, his name is Charlie Arnold. He's a good friend of mine, and I'm going to give him the floor. Thank y'all.
I just want to say thank you for everyone letting me come. There's some familiar faces. And whenever I say that, part of my history is I preached at McRae from 97 to 2001. And then I went and started working with the state. And so I was working with DCFS and taking kids from their parents for lack of abuse and neglect and all that stuff. So whenever I say you look familiar, that may be because you visited at McRae, or maybe because I took your kids away from you. So whenever I meet people in Walmart, I just don't know how to react. And so I'm going to say that I'm in a safe place and that y'all visited at McRae, or that whenever I came up here and worshiped with y'all in the old auditorium, and that's where y'all are from. But I just want to say again, thank you. We're going to be talking a little bit about Southern Christian Home. I have my co-worker Anissa Ballou with me, so she gets to correct anything that I mess up between class and worship, and then after worship she can have a little bit more time to correct all my mistakes. But this is our logo. This is what we are starting to try to promote, try to rebrand a little bit. But the next slide is where this is what Southern Christian Home is. This is the and if I knew where my glasses were, I'd be able to see my notes. Our website is schome.org if y'all need anything about that. And I want this to be a class time so y'all can ask questions, and it's not just me up here. I'll get to preach at you at the next hour. But so feel free to ask questions. But I do want to say up front, a lot of the main questions that I get is, how many kids y'all got? How many kids y'all got? Well, that depends on how many foster homes we have. It depends on how many house parents that we have. Right now we have the capability of having like 26 or 27. We'd like to get up to like 30. But anything over that, we're not going to be a great, unless God does something miraculous and brings more people on our campus in Morrilton. We're going to be about that capacity, because that is where our growth is going to be, is through our foster homes. And our foster homes, we're licensed throughout the state, and we can open up foster homes, and that depends on how many bedrooms that you have and how many you're willing to take. So our growth is not going to be like it was 50 years ago, having a lot of cottages and having 20-some kids in a cottage. That's no longer available to us. But let's go to the next slide. I'm just going to, let's see if I learn how to do this. Our children is the ones that they come from in all shapes and sizes, and Cliff's going back there. They come, but they're just regular, ordinary children. That's one thing with my 20 years of experience and Miss Anissa's 10 years experience with DCFS. We are able to read between the lines whenever they ask us what kids to bring and different things. But I don't know why I'm so nervous right now, but they're just ordinary kids. They've come from hard places. They've had a lot more experience than any person should ever have in their entire lifetime, let alone their first 14 years, their first 3 years, whichever comes first. But they do have challenges. But part of our job, my job as Director of Children's Services, is to make sure the children that we accept placement are the children that we can handle. We're not a therapeutic agency, even though that we offer a lot of services to children. But one thing about our kids, they're just like your kids that you grew up. A 16-year-old is going to have a smart mouth. They're going to want to hide things. They're going to want to skip school. I'm talking about what Annie did, not what I did. I've known her since she was a young kid out at McRae. But some of the things that we do, we have special events. This is where I'm going to get away from my notes so I don't have to be so nervous. Special events. We have deck building parties. We have community giveaways. We go to churches and we recruit foster parents. We have activities for our kids, whether it be going to the Travelers games, to Christmas caroling, to the pumpkin patch. We like to go up to the Branson Sight and Sound Theater whenever they get a new play going on. We always like to take the kids up there. We like to do all the stuff. We have mission groups. We have mission groups come, and they come during the summer. Sometimes they come in the fall. Sometimes they come over spring break. And these are just churches bring their youth groups to have a shared experience on our campus. So they get to have a team building event. They get to show what service is to their teenagers. Southern Christian Home gets some help with some projects around the farm or at the house. And the kids get to interact with kids their own age, and hopefully with some positive personalities and some positive reinforcement, but they don't get stuck in this cycle of just being around everybody else. But we can show them a better way. So hopefully this is a win-win for everybody. We have our summer camps. How many of y'all went to summer camp as a kid? Did anybody have any friends? Did they make any friends at summer camp? Do you still know these people? There's a lot of times where relationships are started at Southern Camp. There's a lot of shenanigans that goes on at summer camp. Now, those are the things that I did. But the one time when the boys went and did the Jericho March around the girls' cabin area every night, well, they did. The first night they went around one time. The second night they went around twice. The third time they went around 3 times. And the director just let them do it. And then on the last night they told them how it was really done in the Bible. You just do 1 time a night, and then at the last night you go around 7 times. So that's why the walls didn't fall down. So we go to summer camps. We have monthly groups that come. We have the RNC group. They come every second Thursday, do some kind of party, have a play day in the gym. are on the campus, and they come at 6 and are gone by 8. But that's it gives the house parents some time to relax. It gives the kids some time to get some energy out, and always building those relationships. So some of the services that we offer, all of our kids that come to campus in Morrilton are enrolled in the South Conway County School District. And but we have a campus on our school, a school on our campus. See there? I had too much Thanksgiving, I guess. I don't know what it is. And I normally don't have my drinking problem, but that's why I do all my drinking in front of the church. So our goal is to take these kids in. You can imagine what's been going on with the kids. They've been ripped out of their home, ripped out of their school. They have some behavior problems. They haven't been going to school. So we bring them in instead of just putting them on the campus, the main campus there in Morrilton. We bring them in onto our campus, put them in our school. We have about half of our kids go to our school, but the goal is to get them assessed, get them up to grade level, do that intensive teaching, tutoring, whatever they need, and the goal is to get them to the main campus. That way we have kids that are in the flag line. We had kids playing on the football team. We have one playing on the soccer team. But it's after they're up to their grade level, and it's after that their behaviors are in check so that they have success. Another service that we have is Therapy Monkey. This is the name of the agency. JD and Erica Kittimer have the OTs. It's named after their little boy. He was always the monkey around the house, so that's why they called it Therapy Monkey. But all of our kids that need it get assessed for OT, PT, and speech. Now, my wife, she was a physical therapist, so I always knew that physical therapy was a thing. My dad said, be careful, she knows how to put you together. She also knows how to take you apart. And but this is a service that most foster kids do not get unless they're extremely behind, unless they are extremely deficient, disabled in one way or another. But all of our kids get assessed. And most of our kids get OT and or speech and sometimes physical therapy. And the quicker that you get these young kids into these therapies, that gets them back up. It gets them, they can get up to speed quicker, but the benefits of that will last their entire lifetime. We also do hippotherapy. We bring the horses in, and we have an arena we just finished up right there in town on campus where we can bring the horses, and they can do all this therapy on the back of a horse and all the benefits that they have. We also have our farm. We have 200 and some odd acres, and I'm not a farmer. My dad was a preacher, so we always lived right next door to the church building. But we have a farm out there, and rabbits, chickens, goats. We have a cow-calf operation where we get our red meat from. We have we have a pond out there where kids can be kids, where they might learn a lesson or two. We have a place where lessons can be learned. And this is also where we also participate in the fair each year. And we hold our own at the fair. Our kids, sometimes that's the first time that they've ever been responsible for a rabbit. We try to start off with the small animals before we go to the larger animals. And that just depends on the kid. But there's a lot of work that goes into that, but there's also a lot of reward whenever you see their smiling faces and you get that recognition of something that was accomplished. So, any questions about our services, about our kids, where we're located, anything like that? Has anybody ever been over to the campus in Morrilton? Okay. We want to invite anybody that wants to come by. It gets me out of the office. I can give you a little tour. I can tell you what we're doing. We are remodeling our main building. It's only 100 and is built in 1919, 1920. And so it's due for an upgrade, and hopefully we will be able to get back into that soon. It was supposed to be done in March, I think, but we're still in the dining room. So if you come by and look in the dining hall, if we're not there, we'll be back in our offices. So on campus, these are our 2 on-campus families. And I have a note, don't licensing geek out here. So these are I can tell you, I did 11 years of licensing. She's looking at me. I got the look already. The difference between residential and placement and all that stuff. Kids are kids. It doesn't. I'll deal with the licensing part. I'll deal with the placement part. I'll figure all that out. But we ask our parents, all of our parents, to be Christians, to love God, to have a strong relationship with God, and then come along, be willing to have a child come alongside of you as you walk your path. Easy, right? Whenever you're filled with the Holy Spirit and you're working through His power, not your own, that's the power comes from. It's not ourselves. It's impossible for me to ask anybody to take a child not their own and raise them. But whenever you are working not on your own power, but through the power that God gives us, then we can do miraculous and wonderful things. They have our off-campus families. One of them's up in Harrison, a couple of down in Benton, a couple of up on our farm. These, might know one of these, Clifford and Annie Copeland. If y'all don't know them, they're great people. Y'all need to get to know them. And that last picture, I don't know if you can see it, but your name can go there. I don't know what king and queen that is, but it was a picture I got off the internet. So, at the end of the day, today, the ask is that we identify, or you guys help us identify a family that would be willing to open their home up as a foster home. We were looking for, and I'm skipping a slide here, but that's okay. We're going to be looking for a family that will support that family, to be the foster aunt and uncle, the foster grandma and grandpa, the ones that will help them do this, so that not all the strain and the toil is on them, that we're supported by each other. So why are we asking this? So here's, as of November 1st of this year, White County, where we're in out now, has 81 children in foster care, and they have 60 homes. and that is way above average for the state of Arkansas. White County is doing good. Whenever I started with the state in 2001, there were 12 foster homes in White County, and there were 78 children in care. So the children in care has not changed very much in 20-some years. But the foster homes have. In Lonoke County, Conway County, where we are, there's 34 children in care, but there's only 4 foster homes. And until recently, 2 of those were ours. So that's what we are dealing with. And then statewide, there's 3,484 children in care, and there's only 13,059. That's everywhere. Now, is that down? Number of kids in care? Yes. The COVID years, that number was over 5,000. The number of foster homes were about the same, but I think they were up to almost 1,500 at one time. But generally speaking, the foster homes in the state of Arkansas and the beds for the children in the state of Arkansas is the ratio is they have about 75% of the beds that they need. So we're lacking. So where do those other kids go? Well, those kids go into our residential programs. Those kids go to the psychiatric facilities. Those kids go to the state hospital. Those kids go to all these other services that are provided. Sometimes they're in the DHS office. And I'm not going to scare you thinking that there's hundreds of kids sleeping in DHS offices. I've been in the DHS office over a Thanksgiving break with a kid that I could not find a place for. We slept in the office. We do what we have to do. The thing with the state, they are the only ones that cannot say no. Whenever there's a call to the hotline, there's a child that's being abused or neglected that is in intimate harm, they can't say, sorry, we're not going to take this child. We don't have room for them. They're mandated by law to protect that child, come what may. Southern Christian Home, we have the opportunity to say, we're full, I'm sorry, this child needs a higher level of care than what we can provide, but that wears on you. Whenever I see those requests come in, well, this past June, there was 75 children requested that we were not able to help because we didn't have the room. A lot of them had the higher level of care that they needed, but so this is what we are looking for. This is my attempt to draw circles in PowerPoint. And you can tell that this sort of lopsided. I did not know that it was that hard to make circles in PowerPoint presentation, but this is my, it's been approved from my first try. So the foster family, that's whenever we hit the bullseye, we're going to identify a foster family. Now, your foster family is not going to be there all by itself. Foster family is going to be there with Southern Christian Home, with Miss Anissa as the case manager, Miss Anissa going to court, Miss Anissa filing a court report, doing case management, doing a case plan, helping with all the visitation, all the horror stories that you hear from out there about DCFS. You're going to have somebody, whether it be her, whether it be me, whether it be Miss Reagan, whether it be another foster parent, whether it be a family from your small group here, there's always going to be somebody else. And that's where the yellow is the support families. So whenever my wife had her car wreck in 99, I had to rely on the church to take care of my daughter. Y'all probably know Todd Smith down at McRae. I was preaching at McRae when this happened. This was right before the 99 tornadoes that came through, 2 weeks before. I had to call Todd and Cheryl and say, hey, can you come get the Suburban, and Brenna's in some car at the top of the overpass. And I think it was about a week before I saw Brenna again. But I depended on the church as a support family. I depended on the people that I knew and I loved and I trusted to take care because of the situation that I was in. And I often think, what do people do that don't have a church family, that don't have a congregation to help them and to support them? And it's a very sad whenever you come across people like that. And a lot of these families that we are working with do not have a church family. So the model, this is the model that we are approaching, that whenever we recruit foster homes, we first come to a congregation just like we're doing today. We ask the congregation to be a congregation that will be mindful of the children in need in their area. And it's not necessarily that they're in foster care. You know families out there that are struggling. I'm sure that y'all probably did some kind of, I saw a bunch of yams and everything out on the table. Y'all put together food baskets or something like that. Y'all bring us food. There's people in need. And if we can prevent a child coming into care, we have solved a whole lot of problems if we just catch them early. If we are able to be that congregation that reaches out, and it's the congregation that Cliff and Annie have been talking about, and how much they love being here in this congregation. But this is what it's all about. And I don't know how much time I have, but we're going to have time for a little exercise that Miss Annie just loves. But this is what it's all about. This is what we are trying to get to. And I don't know if you can read that picture. That was in our school. It was a little art project. And it says, John 3:16, I matter so much, God gave his son for me. Now, I can quote John 3:16, and that's not what it says. But that's what it means to a child that was in our classroom over at Southern Christian Home. And I think that we've done something right with that kid. I don't know how much they had to pay him to write that. I don't know, but I don't ask those questions. But having that one picture is a picture of some adoptive parents that were going to take the kids that were been in our home for several years. And they are the ones that came to the foster parents and said, hey, we need to pray before we leave. The little boy with his hands folded, he was the one, his name is, I can't tell you that, it's Christian, but don't tell anybody I said that. He was the one that after a year or so, was going to be placed in Arizona with a grandparent. And our foster mom said, no, DCFS isn't going to take this boy. I'm going to take him. So she flew out with him to the placement. But before he left, in the church up in Harrison, in Bellefonte, he was the one that stood up there on a Wednesday night and led Anywhere with Jesus, I Can Safely Go. Now, a kid, the first, second grade, something like that tells me that Miss Vicky in that church did something right. That they were able to take a kid that had all kinds of issues, and the family had so many obstacles, but to be able to salvage that family in a way that they did, but to meet that. And Miss Vicky calls out there, talks to Grandma still. They talk about going out there and keeping that relationship built. Is something that we always want to try and do. There's many stories. Those other two guys, they're leading singing. They're doing devotionals at their congregation, which you would never think that they would ever do. But given the opportunity, giving whenever you meet some basic, this Maslow's triangle stuff, all the people that are in my position supposed to know all this stuff. You give the kids some felt safety. You give them some security. You give them some consistency. Then all of a sudden, it doesn't take very long, but all of a sudden you see change after change after change whenever you can make that connection. And we'll talk a little bit more about that during my sermon, about the connection that we are looking for and we're trying to make with God at our helm. Any questions? Sure.
Or foster home through you guys, what the support from you guys is like, and also what that process looks like.
Sure. So this is where I get to geek out a little bit. She asked the question. Okay, maybe not. To start the process, y'all just give us a call. You make the inquiry with me or Miss Anissa, and you say, hey, I would like to so we will come in and we will do an in-home consult. And we'll talk to you all about the stuff, and we will send you an application, and you'll fill that out. And we'll have a whole big long list of things that we're going to have to get from you. Your birth certificates or marriage certificates and all this, your driver's license. We're going to do a background check on you. We're going to take your fingerprints. We're not going to, but we'll tell you where to go to get those done. So we'll do all the background check stuff, and then we will start the home study process. We use the SAFE home study process. There's questionnaires that you fill out, and we get all up in your business. Okay, we look in to see how you grew up, who you are, the struggles that you've overcame, how you overcame them, all the wonderful supports that you have. And we do that it's just so that we can get to know you, so that we can make sure that you are prepared for what is coming your way. And then we do your training. It's a online training. It could be in-person training. It's like 15 hours. We come to your home. If we got 2 or 3 families doing it together, we may come up here to the church building and ask to use one of their rooms. on wherever, and we work with your schedule. And then we put all that together, and and it can be as fast as 2 months. It could be 6 months process. It's however long what your schedule looks like. However long it would take would be dependent on schedules. It's not a long process. Back in the day, whenever I was doing it, you would submit a background check, and 6 months later it would come back. That's all automated now. We're doing a lot of extra things, so that's not the problem anymore. But whenever a child is placed in your home, DCFS calls me or Miss Anissa, and we determine, okay, what's the kid like? Why is he in care? How long has he been in care? What's his behaviors? What's his PACE eval say? And we get all that information. And because we have a lot of experience with all that stuff, we know what this child needs a structured environment. Well, that's code word for this kid's out of control. There's ways to read. Okay, so we ask more questions. Okay, well, where's his grades? What does his grades look like? What kind of problems is he having in school? He's had in-school suspension. What was that about? Is he terrorizing the classroom? What's going on? So we get to ask all those questions on the front end. And then we present that information to the foster parent, prospective foster parent. Do you have an opening? Can you take this kid? This is what we know. And we have this conversation. And then we place the kid. And then we come to your home whenever that child is placed. We bring you medicines. We bring you all the paperwork. We do all the case planning. Okay, this kid needs to be assessed for OT, PT, and speech. He needs to update his immunizations. We do this. Okay. We're going to use your support family to take him to the doctor the second Thursday of next week. We're going to help your support family. We're going to have them bring a meal over because you're getting this kid placed today, and you're going to be working with this child, and so they're going to be able to, you don't have to worry about dinner. We're going to have another support family to be able to, if you get caught at work and can't meet the bus, whenever the kid gets off the school bus, they're going to be a phone call away where they can pick the child up from after school from the bus. So you don't have to lose your job. You don't have to take less hours for your job. We're going to write up a case plan. This child needs this. This is how it's going to be accomplished. This is your role as the foster parent. This is our role as the caseworker. This is the role of the school. This is the role of the therapist. This is the role of the doctor. And all this stuff is going to be written out. And we're going to go over that every month because our caseworker is going to come to your home. They're going to be on a group chat, text thing. Is it chat or blog? Okay. I was informed that putting your number as a cell dates you. It's a mobile. Your mobile number now. It's not a cell phone anymore. It's a mobile phone. I learned something.
What did you do while I was on?
I learned all the good things.
That is exactly not.
Any other questions? Anything else? Yeah.
So just to be kind of clear, if
Sure.
Do some of these things. We don't even personally have to know that family, huh?
Correct. You will get to know them. We will put you together with them. We will have y'all have a meet at the, what's the restaurant around here? Colton's. The Mazio's Pizza was the place back whenever I was in McRae, to come and meet. And you'll meet that family. You'll get to know those kids. You'll invite them to church here. You'll go to their church there. You'll get to know how the family. You'll get to know how the kids, so that whenever the kids need to come over to your house on a Saturday, so that foster dad can take a nap and foster mom can go to Walmart without 3 extra kids and tagging along, that they're used to you, that they're used to going to the playland or to wherever. I do want to say that something that I should have said at the beginning. Sparrow's Promise is in Searcy. They have their placement license. They do the same things that we do. I know Beth Light. She was a caseworker whenever I was a caseworker. Her husband and her 2 kids are just wonderful people. We are not in any type, way, or anything in competition with Sparrow's Promise. We call them for help. They call us for help. We say, hey, do you have an opening for this kid? They call us. I mean, this same thing with Children's Home Inc., Paragould, the Children's Home in Paragould. Their director and our director go to churches, and Micah Brinkley, he does the class and Gary does the sermon, or Gary does the class and he does the sermon. Are we about out of time? Okay.
I want to tag on what Cliff asked though, like involvement as a support family is as intensive or less as you, the support family, want that to be. And I'm not supposed to say she's my favorite, but our foster home at Harrison, also think outside the box. She is a widow that heard heard Gary speak, and she said, you know, I have the room in my home, I have the income, I can do this with Southern Christian Home's help. But what happened is that congregation, specifically the men of that congregation, said, we're going to make sure any children placed in her home don't do without a father figure. And so even though a man is not tucking those boys into bed or whatever the case may be, like they do not lack any support from a male father figure. The youth minister, the elders, like when those boys play soccer games, the church is like all on it. All the aunts, uncles, grandmas, everybody. But the men take them fishing, do all those things. And so like there's a lot of ways to think outside the box on that as far as how you want to get involved.
Okay, if y'all go to the next slide. I don't know my little button here. There you go. Questions. So before we run out of time and y'all have to go get your kids, because abandoning your kids at the church building is not what you're supposed to do. So if you just think that you're supposed to have a piece of paper and write these things down, but if you had to, okay, tomorrow evening you got to leave, you got to evacuate your house, whether it be for a flood, whether it be for whatever, what are the top 10 things that you're going to take? You're going to make sure that you have. Or people. Things are people, pets. But you can only take 10 items. So if you want to take your kid and your spouse, that's 2. Okay, you got a pet, that's 3. If you're going to take your medications, we'll let you lump your medications into 1. So just think about that. What's the most important thing Don't tell your spouse that she's number 4, but do you have your list? What's the most important thing? If I said that your house is going to burn down, what do you want to make sure is out of that house? You got it? Okay. Well, we're coming to pick you up tomorrow, and we had the U-Haul, but now it's tomorrow morning, and the U-Haul didn't have the big truck. I only have a van. So you have to get rid of 3 things off your list. What 3 things are you going to mark off? So you only have 7. Now, when Charlie comes up and he didn't get the small van, he shows up in his Prius. Now you had 7, now you can only take 4. I don't have room, I'm sorry. And there's a story that I might tell you, but I think this might be why I've been so nervous this morning. You're down to 4 items. You had 10 out of your whole life. Do you know what 4 you're going to take? And oh, I'm sorry. Instead of going to Grandma was arrested last night, so we're going to take you to Texarkana, to some place you've never been, to some place you've never known. And you're supposed to be enrolled in school in the morning. This is what we do to our kids in foster care. They didn't ask. They didn't know that mom or dad was going to be arrested. They didn't know that whenever mom's boyfriend yells and hits, they don't know that that's wrong. They didn't know that taking that pill that was left on the coffee table was going to make you sick, and that you were going to go to the ER and you weren't going to be able to go back home. So we, in all of our wisdom, put the government in charge of running this whole process. And they hire people like Charlie to be a case manager that didn't even know where the DCFS office was in White County after he lived there for 8 years. But I needed a job because my wife had a wreck and had a brain injury. So, you take your 4 items, we jump you off here, your sister off there, and you get to the place, and your sister's bag is with you, and your sister got your bag of your stuffed animal, so you don't even have your stuffed animal when you get to where you're at. So, the need for foster parents to deal with kids in their home county, to be able to take a child to be able to be taken care of in a safe home, but they don't have to leave their school. They don't have to leave their friends. They'll still be able to see their friends. They don't have to travel 2 hours to visit for 2 hours and then drive back 2 hours every single week. And sometimes twice a week, because you got to have 4 hours of visits during the week. Because you have to maintain that contact and to have supervised visits. So the farther you get away from your primary county, the farther away that you get from your home, the process just just gets over and over and over. That's why I do the things that I do. And that's why we're asking what we're asking is for us to help one another. Y'all have been great. I apologize for stumbling and bumbling, but I appreciate y'all being with us. Let's end with a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so very much for your life and your on this earth to show us an example of our Heavenly Father. Dear Heavenly Father, I ask that you bless this congregation. I ask that you bless the Southern Christian Home. Give us wisdom and foresight. And bless the children that we serve and the children that we will serve and their families. And it's through your Son's name that we pray. And amen. Thank you.